So we have already seen some of the logical formation different operators we have in the Excel. Is is also the one very interesting, I can say, the logical operator in the Excel we are going to be handled on. So the is consists of different terminologies with respect to formula bar we are going to be showcased. So this is a major standard approaches we are going to be follow with the is. Something called as the is blank and the is error, is NA, or you can also call it as is null with that matter, and is number, is odd, is even, is exist. So these are some specifical whenever we are going to be showcase each one of them we are going to be discuss in detail way of approach. The is going to be help us with respect to whether a condition is true or not. It depends on some of the outcomes. So I'm just specifying here something called as a5 is equal to 2 and a6 is equal to 1 and a7 is equal to hello. So let's perform these operators with respect to the is blank, is error, is na, is number, or is odd. Some of the operators with respect to the is family. So let's look on to the is blank. I'm just performing as A2. It consists of nothing, okay? So we are just representing as a blank statement whether it's going to be written any value according to that or not. So currently it is a blank statement. That's the reason we are getting as a true condition. It's going to check whether it is a blank value or not. If it is a blank value, it's going to give as a value of true. If it is a not blank, it's going to be given value as a false. Similarly, we have something called as the is error. So we have done some statement with respect to what we seen in the if error, right? So with respect to the is error, we are going to be get any kind of the error in the value itself. It's going to be specified with corresponding to that. So if it is a error value, we are going to be get as a true. If it is not error value, we're going to be get it as a false. Similarly, we are going to be showcased as a is NA. NA nothing but whenever we encounter some of the missing values or null values or zero values, or you can say you're going to be handled with some of the data analysis or the data modeling. This type of information is going to be retrieved by using the SQL. And is number, this is also very interesting operator in the logical operator we have in the is formula family. So is going to be represented whether the whether the value is a number or not, and is odd, this is an odd value or not. It's going to check out that is even, is also going to check out whether it's even number or not. If it is a not even number, it's going to be make it as a false state. Is text, it's going to be check whether the value is a text or not. So if the value is not text, in the, this is going to be given as a false statement. These are very simple and interesting, very elegant logical operators we are going to be handed out in the Excel. So these are very interestingly, I can say, very interestingly showcased whenever we encounter some of the column names in the Excel wise. And we can also go and see about some of the lookup values and some of the logical operators we have only with the respect to the Excel. So I have given some of the data frame here with respect to some salespersons and the quarter and also the sales. So we have some formulation with respect to the VLOOKUP. So let's go and understand how does that going to be help us. So VLOOKUP, it's going to be help us whenever you look some of the value in a vertical list. Okay, so I'm just looking on these values as a vertical list. Once it has stopped, or you can say once it has going to be taken any kind of the value, it would be at that row, or maybe it would be that any column, and return the value specified to the column number. So VLOOKUP is going to be help us with the syntax. VLOOKUP lookup underscore value, and the table array you are going to be showcased which in the range of the table array, and the column index also is going to be specified with corresponding to that. Then we will eventually get some of the values with respect to the VLOOKUP. So let's go and perform. So these are some of the simple example to analyze with this formula. So VLOOKUP, I'm just typing with corresponding lookup value I'm taking as a Tom here, and the array, you can say table array, I'm just taking specifying from A3 range to C5 range, from here to here. Okay, So I'm also taking the column index is equal to 2, and you can also say that I'm also taking the range lookup value is fa to the fl false statement. I'm just taking consideration, and the result is choking as a q423, right? So q424, this one we are getting. So how does it going to help us? So we are just showcasing as a lookup value is Tom, and we are selecting from this range to this range, the A3 to C5 range. It will go and check in what is the value for corresponding to the lookup value, and what exactly the column index we are going to be specified. This is a zeros column index, this is first column index, this is second column index. The value is this one for the quarter. And similarly, we are just representing as a quarter value, right, to showcase in lookup and the return sum of the quarter value with the corresponding to the Tom value. And similarly you can also see the VLOOKUP Tom, and also you can see A3 to EC5, same serial we are just specifying. So this is a column index 0, and or you can also make it as a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So we are specifying with respect to the column index 3. So it will be as 1, 2, 3. This the value range with respect to the Tom is 3000. So that's the reason we are getting the 3000. And here we are, instead of taking a Tom, we are taking as a lookup value is 1500. So 1500 is not present anymore. But we are checking with respect to some table array C3 to C5. C3 to C5. This is the range we are just specified corresponding to check that. And we also specified the column index name as 1. So the 1 is obviously 1000. So it may be present the larger value when compared to the whatever the lookup value we have. So it what it exactly does, it go and check over the 1500 in our C3 to C5 range, and it will also return some the largest value the similar than the lookup value what we have. And then the list is going to be sorted in the ascending order, and or else it's going to be very long, and we can also get as a false conditions maybe. And the VLOOKUP, we are just specifying with the 1500, and we are just taking consideration C3 to C5 in the range. And the column index, you're going to be taken as a 1, right? So this is a 1 column index we are going to be represented. And we can also make it as a range lookup value is a false. So what will happen? What will in this case exact does not match, right? So it is not match with the value, it's going to be given as error value. We are not any specified with the corresponding to the lookup range, right? So that's the reason we are getting as a missing value, you can say. And similarly, we are just taking care of the T. Okay, so T is going to be represented as a lookup value, and the range table array we are going to be specified as A3 and C5, and the column index we are just showcasing as a 3, and similarly the range lookup is going to make it as a true conditions. So what will happen, it's going to check about the T in Arjun firstly, and Jane and Tom, and it's going to be settled for the Jane. Okay, it's going to be settled for the Jane, as Tom has already highest value, as Tom is already highest value when compared to that. So what will happen, it will return the value of the second row from the third. It will return the value of the second row from the third. So that is the reason we are getting the 2000 value here.